So I didn't think I was going to make a review video on the Pixels this year because I was super busy, and also I had booked a camping trip with my family just before this whole launch. But then I thought, you want to make an even better camping trip for my family if I brought these phones along and made everybody wait for me while I did stuff.
Dave, hurry up!
And
Daddy, hurry up! Come on, we have to go!
So every year at the end of the summer, my wife and I try to bring our kids to some kind of camping or canoe trip somewhere in the Ontario parks. We load up the car and head up north. So on a side note, my car is an electric vehicle. It's 8 years old at this point. It's a 2017 Model S. It holds like 80% of the charge it used to when it was new. So at this point, I actually have to charge my car on the way up to campsites now. Battery degradation on EVs is very real. This year, we went to a place called Killbear Provincial Park. I actually brought 4 phones with me. I got the Pixel 10 Pro XL, last year's Pixel 9 Pro, the iPhone 16 Pro Max, as well as Samsung's S25 Ultra. Now, my original plan was to shoot on all 4 of these, but I recognized very quickly that my wife was going to divorce me if I brought all 4. So I only used 2. When we got to the campsite, we pitched tents, prepped some wood, and started a fire. When I started shooting vids, the very first thing that jumped out to me was that the fires look way better on the iPhone 16 Pro Max compared to the Pixel 10 Pro XL. So like the coloring, the dynamic range on the flames, it's not an easy shot to capture because the flame is quite bright and it was getting darker, but the iPhone just did a better job at it. Another thing I noticed on the Pixel is that they still have this issue with movement. If you move the camera quickly, you get this weird jarring, like almost judder to the video. It's something that's existed on a lot of the previous generation of Pixel devices, and it's still there. I'm surprised that year after year they still haven't been able to fix this. And it's not as pronounced as it was on the Pixel 9s, but it is still there. Now, in terms of macro video, I found this crazy looking caterpillar crawling around on the cooler. The iPhone macro mode captures this pretty well. It keeps a lot of it in focus. But the Pixel 10 macro video captures this really well. It just looks cooler to me. It has a very narrow depth of field, so the focus is a lot tighter, and the shot just looks a lot more interesting to me. Low light videos were weirdly unimpressive on the Pixel 10 Pro XL. Like the iPhone 16 Pro Max looks so much better in this shot. It's kind of crazy. I always thought that Pixel's night sight was extra good, and it works really well for photos, but when it comes to videos, it's actually quite poor. Now, Pixels can do something called Video Boost, where it uploads the video to the cloud for AI processing. This helps with image quality a lot, but even with that new Tensor G5 chip, this still isn't done on device. I had to wait almost 20 hours for this video to be boosted. All right, so it's the next morning, and I've run into a bit of a problem. The one and only battery pack that I brought does not work. It's a big one, but it's older, and the USB ports don't work, the AC ports don't work. I do think that I could shoot all the video on these phones with just one charge. That's not an issue. It's just the edit. I have a laptop with one full battery charge. I don't know if I can do this all off of just one laptop battery. We'll see. So in the afternoon, I took a short hike to the lighthouse here. It's very cool looking scenery on the shore of it. The rocks have been eroded to these like very interesting looking slabs. Very nice view of the water. Some of the rocks here have this neon orange lichen stuff growing on it. When you take macro photos with the 2 cameras, you got the same kind of differences as the videos. So the Pixel has a very shallow depth of field, and you just get more interesting looking shots with it, but you do need to be more careful with the focus. There's also a new camera coach feature on the new Pixel phones where if you frame up a shot, you can tap the camera coach button in the top corner and it'll think for a moment, analyze your frame, and then give you some suggestions for like some scenes, and then also give you some guidance as to how to shoot those scenes. It sounds neat, and on paper, I feel like some people might think it might be useful, but here's my experience with it. I am a terrible photographer, like just absolute dog water, but I didn't find it useful. I felt like everything that it would suggest I either knew or just didn't want to bother doing. Like I would imagine that most people who actually care about their photos just already know most of this stuff. I just didn't find it useful. Also, I've noticed that the 2 front-facing cameras, because I'm shooting this so late, the Pixel is so much worse at just this low light front-facing video compared to the iPhone. We also saw some deer kind of far away. I put this on 5x telephoto video for both devices. The iPhone just did this better. I was trying to track the deer a little bit because I was so punched in, and a small amount of hand movement at this kind of telephoto range would move the framing a lot, but the iPhone just handled that tracking better, and the image on the iPhone just looked better. It was sharper and more clear. Now, interestingly, if you take photos or videos of text zoomed in, the pixels are better at it. I think it's just because of the AI processing. We saw a snake, took a picture of it, asked Gemini what it was, and I think it identified it correctly as non-venomous, but you never know with AI, so we just stayed away from it. The photo capabilities on the Pixel 10 are quite good, as you'd expect. Pixels never disappoint when it comes to stills. The newest feature for the Pixel 10 XL is the 100x ProRes zoom. It's a huge AI model, it's over a gig. This worked surprisingly well in a handful of shots out here, but it didn't look great for most attempts. It's quite grainy. Now, because I'm out camping, I'm gonna keep this video super short. I spent all of my time with this phone focused on the video capabilities, and I will say, if you're just looking at video, it's not particularly impressive this year. I was hoping or almost expecting it to be really good with camera capabilities this year, just based off of their presentation and their kind of press release, but it's very Pixel-like and not all that different from the previous generation. But we will explore this phone with its full capabilities down the line. All right, hope you guys enjoyed this video.